Dear Ellen, I'm reaching out to you on behalf of my best friend Allison. Allison is the type of person that you'll never forget once you meet her. She has such a magnetic, caring, loving, and warm energy that infectiously draws people to her. I've had the pleasure of knowing this pure soul for almost 15 years, and I have watched her grow into the beautiful and compassionate mother, wife, and woman that she is today. She has worked so hard for everything she has, and has a very hard time asking for or accepting help from others. She worked multiple jobs to support herself through college before finally graduating with a bachelor's in exercise science for pre-occupational therapy from Eastern Washington University in 2013. Always looking for a good adventure, she decided to pack her life up and move from Washington State to Colorado Springs, Colorado after graduating, where she met her husband Chris, who was and still is currently serving as a military police officer in the United States Air Force. Shortly after their wedding, Allison and Chris welcomed their beautiful daughter Brinley into the world on May 14, 2015, and just like her mama, Brinley happens to be a huge fan of yours. Allison's husband was later transferred to Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, and Allison still had her sights set on graduate school to become an occupational therapist. Allison was accepted to Eastern Washington University's Graduate Occupational Therapy program in 2017, but this meant moving over 350 miles away from her husband in order to pursue her dreams. With the full support of her husband, Allison and her 2-year-old daughter Brinley moved into her mother's basement so she could pursue graduate school full-time. During her first semester of graduate school, Allison started to experience an enlarging tumor in her breast. Her and her providers were convinced that it was going to be benign, since she has a history of benign tumors. She received a devastating phone call one morning before dropping her daughter off at daycare and heading off to school, that the tumor biopsy had come back as an aggressive luminal B invasive ductal carcinoma. After being retested, her diagnosis was actually worse than she had thought, and she was now battling an invasive and aggressive form of cancer called triple-negative breast cancer, meaning this type of cancer does not respond to hormones, and chemotherapy followed by a double mastectomy were her only treatment options. She started her first round of chemotherapy on December 13, 2017, and will continue to receive chemo for 3 months. Once she completes her chemo, she will undergo a double mastectomy surgery. This woman is the absolute definition of strength, and she continuously inspires and motivates me and everyone around her. Allison briefly considered taking the next semester off of school, knowing that chemotherapy can have some serious side effects. But at this very moment, she is enrolled in attending her second semester of graduate school. Although buried in over $90,000 of student loan debt and battling for her life, raising her daughter, and living away from her husband to pursue her passion for helping others. I have known Allison for so many years, and rarely have I ever seen her crack, give in to fear, or even cry. She's the bravest person I know, and she deserves the world. I'll never forget the morning she called me with her diagnosis, and as her voice trembled, she still managed to find the positive in the situation, stating, and I quote, "Well, hey, at least I'll get a new pair of boobs out of the deal, right?" We both cried and laughed together, but it wasn't until the end of the conversation that I heard fear in her voice for the first time in my life. She sobbed and admitted she was scared to die and leave her daughter Brinley without a mother. For the first time, I did not know what to say to my best friend. All I could do was tell her I loved her, and that she was going to win this fight, and that she will never find herself fighting alone. I wish there was more I could personally do for Allison, and knowing that meeting you, Ellen, has been a lifelong dream of hers, I thought that The least I could do was share her story with you in hopes of simply getting the chance for her to meet you one day. I remembered back in 2013, for whatever reason, she made a sculpture of you, and I tried to not hurt her feelings about the quality or accuracy of this sculpture. But I warned her that if she sent that sculpture to you, it might just actually be offensive, and you'll definitely never hear from her. Ever. She never heard from you, but she definitely took that sculpture to the post office, boxed it up, and sent it your way. Well, Ellen, I know the sculpture wasn't the most glamorous depiction of you, but if you can find it in your heart to forgive my dear friend and award her the chance to meet you, and maybe she can apologize, I know it would mean the world to her. I know Brinley would love to meet you too. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you do for humankind, and continuing to encourage people like Allison and Brinley to keep on dancing.